Hello, my name is Leo Kokkonen. I'm the founder of Pole Bicycle Company, and today we are going to assemble the dog bone rear triangle to the 180 Stamina extra large. First things first, always remember to attach your frame with a seat post installed. Don't squeeze it here or anywhere else, because that might damage your frame. And this is not only Pole frames, all frames are not supposed to be squeezed because there are tubes. So install any suitable seat post and clamp it from there. And the first thing we're gonna do now is to tilt the frame to horizontal, so it's easier to push in these large bearings with their new sleeves. Safety notes: never lean here as well. You can damage the seat post as well. So the seat post has mechanics inside, sliding surfaces and everything. You create a lot of force if you press here. So first we're going to push in the bearings. The big ones, which are these. Let's start with one, and we use Loctite 641 for the bearing seats. This is so that the bearings sit better inside, they stay in place, and also when you push them out next time you're not going to take any aluminum with the bearings itself. So to spread the Loctite on the bearings, just simply put it here and then use the cotton stick to spread it. On the surface, like this. And then we place the bearing here. It doesn't matter which side you start. I start from the drive side, and then we'll use a press with the bearing size tool, and then just make sure that the bearing sits straight before you start pushing it in, and just look closely that it's going in nicely. If you're installing the dog bone to a used frame, just remember to clean all the surfaces with isopropyl alcohol. Brake cleaner as well is okay. Now the bearing sits in place. Just make sure that the bearing sits half a millimeter below the top surface of the frame. That's how it should be. So if the bearing sits at the level with this surface, it's not pushed in all the way. Tip for people who are removing the big bearings: it is okay if you have a blunt-headed tool that use a hammer. Just make sure that you hit the bearing off evenly. Let's push in the other bearing. When you get the bearings, they are covered with grease. Just use a little bit of alcohol to wipe off the grease off the surface, so you're not pushing with grease. You need to use the Loctite. Again, let's just make sure that we have the Loctite, the bearing in place. You can feel when it stops moving, so don't push it too hard so you don't actually damage the bearing. You need to remember to install them the correct way. So the best way to check it is to use one of the fasteners. On the non-drive side, the thread is right-hand thread. So obviously this one is this way around. So first we just put grease on top of the axle. So now it's easier to install. Just push it through. Doesn't really matter where it sits because then the links will align it. So let's install the other one. So first we just put a little grease on the sleeve so it's easier to stay in place. And we push in the bearing, then we have the bearing. Loctite. Yeah, the sleeve sits nicely in place. So we just wipe off the excess Loctite. Okay, and then the same check we need to do on this one. So first we try. I have good luck today. Both times I did it right. Sinistä. Then we push the axle. Just remember to push from the other side as well. Don't push, like I said, don't stress the frame too much. Okay, now I need to give it a little tap with the hammer, but now it's fine like this. Let's just change the position of the frame. Okay, I give it a little tap with the axle so it's out. So next thing we're gonna check is that the bearings work, they rotate nicely. Okay, next we're gonna install the links. So you need one of the upper links and one of the bottom links. So we're gonna install the drive side first. It doesn't matter which side you do it first, but just remember, do one side first. Let's start from the lower with a bash. So we have the bottom bracket here, DUB, and we're gonna figure out which one is drive side and which one. So this one is drive side. So we put again the blue grease inside as well. Both surfaces. Then on the slots, and then It doesn't have to be too tight at this point. And then the upper link, after you have greased the surfaces, just push in and then install it. Just, this is counterclockwise on the drive side. Okay, so now you have the bottom and upper link. Then you get the dog bone, blue grease. It doesn't matter which side, which way it is. It's the same. It's mirrored, and so. Okay, and then you need to just find it that it goes in simultaneously like this. Okay, then we'll do the other side. So the same thing, upper link, blue grease. Oh, okay, just remember, blue grease is in the grey tube and the grey grease is in the blue tube. Blue grease. Okay. Now, oh yeah, now you need to remember to put the blue grease on the dog bone as well, because you're putting them in same time. Okay. These don't need to be all the way in at this point, just need to find their spots. So lastly we put the other side. Let's turn this so you can see it. So we have put the blue grease on the surfaces. Let's put a little bit of grease here as well. Okay, and the dog bone is greased. Then we just push it in. We give it a slight tap. And then we put in the BB. Right. And then just find the right thread. Okay, so we want to use thread lock on these as well, but first let's make them so everything is completely in, and then unthread them and use a little bit this so we don't seal it before everything is in. So if you don't have two of these tools, it's good to install the shock before you start doing anything else. And we just need to make sure that these are almost in. So thread the link in. Just remember these are can give a little tap here, just to make sure that the dog bone is also in. And now we install the shock. We have the shock reducers here. Just make sure that the piggyback this way, and then the axle goes from this side. Then we have the bolt. Here, then we put the upper yoke. Install it here, and then if you want to use, you can use the same Loctite on these. Just make sure, put a little bit. Here. And these are the M8 steel bolts. These are not getting loose easy when you ride. At least on my frame, I hardly ever need to thread these in. Then on the top part, you need the X-rings. Install them over here. You see the X-rings, and then just slide the yoke in, and then you have the axle. Also, I wouldn't put any Loctite on this one because it's hardly ever getting. Okay, let's use the torque wrench later for this one. Just use first, thread these in so that they're. So now it's time to take these out and put some Loctite on them. Use the torque wrench. You can find the right torque settings from our website, the service portal. Here it's important that you support the frame when you do it, so you don't put too much force here. This, and then we can put this as well. Like this. Then let's unthread the other side. Okay, so now we have almost everything set. let's just use the torque wrench for everything. For these. For these bolts, I would use some Loctite. I don't see them dropping with quite a lot of thread. You should be able to notice while you're riding if these start to get loose. But these are titanium bolts, and I haven't found that these are not getting loose easily. There's quite a lot of friction here, so you don't need the other side. At least, usually I don't. The reason why I'm doing it now is just it's easier to install the shock. So if these are loose, these yokes, so it's easier to fit in that way. Basically, these yokes work as spherical bearing with this eyelet here. So there's pivoting this side and also this way. So there's not a lot of stress to the shock itself while the frame is flexing when you ride. And also the good thing that the shock is this way is that we can fit 2 bottles, which has become a fashion lately on the mountain biking scene. So now we have everything set. So we have the links, shock, and now we just need to install the rear triangle. But first I want to degrease some of the stuff we have. We have grease here with alcohol. Just put it a little bit over there, and then we wipe it off with paper. Okay. So these are all greased already. Then we just take the sides. So here's the one side, and we put a little bit of blue grease inside the slots. The slot is called a bipare, bi-pattern ring. What it is in Finnish, it's a cookie. It's cookie-shaped Christmas cookie. And then you just find the slot and press it in gently. Just move the frame a little bit. And one tip is that you put a little bit of blue grease here as well, so it's easier to, so you put thread lock so it stays in, but the blue grease for the, when you thread it in, you can reach the, this was 6, so you can reach the torque setting easier when you have something. So let's put the next one as well. So this surface slides easier against the other surface. So the torque setting is more set. Oh, I forgot the thread lock. We take the torque wrench. This is 20 millimeters. Okay, and we turn the frame around and install the other side, which has the UDH hanger just keep in mind these threads work the other way, so you have the arrows here just to keep in mind. And we put a little bit blue grease. Just put plenty of the grease because you're unlikely to get these out anytime soon. So after a year or so, they might be pretty stuck if you don't have any grease here. You can give these a gentle tap, just evenly, so you don't twist the frame too much. And when you get these out, the same thing goes here. You just tap gently here, here, when you disassemble this. But when you assemble this, you can use all like this, and then a bolt, a little blue grease, thread lock. Plug it in. You don't need necessarily thread lock on these. These stay in place pretty good. And then take the top wrench. And I think we are set. So now we have here Stamina 180 extra large with a dog bone rear triangle, like so. Thank you for watching. Any comments, put them below and we'll do our best to answer them if you have any questions.